whatever correspondence is meant for the Commission addressed to the Permanent Secretary to be copied to us, so that in the event the Permanent Secretary or the Ministry they are reluctant to submit it to the Commission, we can engage them on such issues.
Now, let's discuss the that route or channel of correspondence from the area councils through the Permanent Secretary to your office.
Yes. So
that we can try and understand as to what brought about that that very outlined way of communication to the Commission of Local Area Council. Now, an already exhibited file marked folio 105, and I will read it for you, where in the heading is Delegated Authority for Staff Appointments, and it is dated 6th February 2023. Okay. Now, in that letter, the Permanent Secretary wrote to all the CEOs and stated in the last paragraph that it should be noted that all correspondences to the Service Commission should be duly addressed to the Permanent Secretary and a copy be made to the Chairperson of the Commission. Is this what you're referring to?
Yes, because we wrote to that effect.
You wrote to?
To the Permanent Secretary.
Please go on.
I say we wrote to the Office of the Permanent Secretary, emphasizing that all letters sent to the Commission through the Permanent Secretary to be copied to the Commission as a way of information. That was one of our recommendations that we wrote, and other issues, even the delegation of appointments also, you see, was reversed by this Commission.
That letter you wrote to the Permanent Secretary,
yes,
asking for you to be copied, is a little bit different from what I read. Now, what I want to understand is the idea of having the channel of communication from the area councils or the CEOs to the Permanent Secretary. Who gave that instruction? Is it from the Office of the Commission or the Office of the Permanent Secretary?
No, the Office of the Permanent Secretary.
And what was your position to that? Were you in agreement with that, or were you in opposition with respect to that position?
No, for me, I am not in line with that, but that was what was existing with the past commissions.
Now, when you came in, you were still following the same practice?
Yes.
Did you protest against that practice?
Yes. In fact, that's why even when we went to to PSC, you see, we raised the issue. You see, because for us, we definitely want a change to that.
But PSC...
Because my point of argument is that PMO, they have a full HR system. And the ministry, they don't have HR system for the councils. So if they want to be responsible of those things, it will be difficult. But the arguments of the PS was, when letters are sent to his office, they will ensure that all the requirements are met before they submit it to the Commission, so that they submit a full set to the council.
And what are your arguments then? What were your counter arguments to that effect?
Now, for me, I have issues with that. The bureaucracy, and it depends on the personality.
Were those issues shared by your fellow commissioners?
Of course, yes.
And was it documented and addressed to the Office of the PS?
It was a discussion with the PS.
Was it documented in a form of a formal communication?
No.
And why was that?
Because we sat and discussed over it.
But then they wrote. They wrote and made sure that there is a clear instruction that communications must pass through them. And if you are the chairperson of the commission and you decide, you feel that that is wrong, it's one thing to have it in your head, it's one thing to agree with your commissioners, but did you communicate that to the PS?
In writing, no. Because this was after our discussions.
Let me
after our discussions, when we sat, then we wrote to the Permanent Secretary. Because then it was agreed that now all letters will continue going to the Office of the Permanent Secretary and then to the Commission. You see, that was the time maybe when the Permanent Secretary, but this was the practice before.
That's fine.
Maybe this letter is just recent, trying to remind them.
The practice is not...
Because of maybe some letters came direct to the Commission. You see, maybe that was the reason that...
My point is, you are not in agreement with that practice. Is that not correct?
Yes.
And therefore, you don't think it is the best practice?
Yes.
In fact, the advice you have had from the PSC is that that is not, in fact, the best practice.
Yeah, but PSC was suggesting a similar thing.
We have a letter from the PSC, and they were not suggesting a similar thing. They were saying that there has to be your office must have its own secretariat.
Yes.
So that is not similar to what the permanent secretary
is. That is our position.
So now,
having our secretariat and having the correspondence going through another body are different things. Because in the PSC, they have a secretariat, but letters goes to the PMO.
We understand that
point.
point.
That's what they wanted to replicate at the ministry.
No, we understand that point. Now, what I am saying is, when you were not in agreement with the permanent secretary, why did you not document that? Why were there no any formal communication between your office and the permanent secretary?
Because that was the practice, and that was what I was instructed. So they wrote to that effect.
So you only act based on what the practice is at the time?
And what they wrote.
Now, my question is,
yes,
you as the chairperson
yes,
of the commission, are you telling me when you occupied the office, you only act based on what the practice is at the time?
Because that was communicated to.
No, just answer the question and then add any comment. In the exercise of your function?
I acted based on what was communicated to me during the time of my appointment, that the arrangements are all communications goes to the office of the permanent secretary.
But you are not in agreement.
Yeah, that's my view.
Wait a minute.
That's my opinion. I have my opinion. My opinion, that's not the best practice I want. That's my opinion.
In fact, your opinion was not only your opinion, but it was an opinion shared by all your members in the commission. Is that, and you agreed with us that it was not only an opinion, but it is a position of the commission at the time.
Yeah, it was my opinion, and I shared it with the commissioners.
And they agree.
You see, and they all welcome the idea.
So why
this means an engagement.
See,
so then we engage the permanent secretary, you see, on that issue.
We are trying to understand how we can arrive at a very and help your office to execute your functions very well.
Yes.
And in doing so, where things are going wrong, we should be very much straightforward to admit, and we move on. You have told us categorically clear that you are not in agreement with that arrangement. Your commission members are not in agreement with that arrangement, but it was the norm, it was the practice. Is that not what you said?
Yes, that was the practice.
Exactly. Now, I am asking you a question. And the question is, are you telling me in the execution of your function as a chairperson of the commission, you only you only execute your function based on what the norm and the practice is prior to your appointment?
No, I think you have to try to understand what I'm explaining. What I'm saying is, during my engagement, this thing was written black and white, that these are the conditions of the appointment.
Now,
that the communications goes through the office of the permanent secretary to the commission as like that of the PSC.
I don't doubt that.
Yes.
I agree with
so that was my engagement. In my engagement, that's what was there.
I don't doubt that.
You see?
You are being...
But when I came, you see, I saw, for me, I have my opinion, I thought that was not best practice. The best thing is, if they can write direct to us, would be better.
In fact, your opinion was not only a mere opinion of an individual who is not a professional, but it was based on your experience and your information by the Act. The Act says your office is independent from the direction and control of any individual or authority. Is that not correct?
Yes.
And that is the base of your opinion. Am I correct to say?
Yeah, that's one part of it.
Exactly.
That's one part
so
of it.
if you find any practice prior to your appointment you believe is wrong, and you and your entire office believe it is wrong, you could have simply communicated that to the permanent secretary.
Yeah, we've communicated, maybe not in writing. As
yes,
said.
exactly.
Yes, but it was communicated to him.
But not in writing.
Yes.
So now we move. I also have another letter here, which in fact your office wrote, and you now maintain the same position that the permanent secretary instructed. The office is on, the letter is folio 195, In fact, you wrote this letter dated the 30th December 2022, yes, addressed to the Permanent Secretary. But then is submission of action points of the Local Government Service Commission meetings of 28 December and 4th January 2022 on the KMC saga. Yes. Now, the interest part is paragraph 7. Okay. When you said that all correspondence emanating from councils, yes, for the commission must be duly addressed to the Permanent Secretary and a copy made to the commission. Yes. So now you are not only acting based on what the Permanent Secretary directed, but you are now in fact reaffirming his position.
Yeah, because after the engagement, that was the conclusion.
Yes, a conclusion you never agreed with.
You see, that was the conclusion.
So I'm saying a conclusion you never agreed with.
Yeah, my opinion, we have shared opinion, different opinions. But at the end of the day, when we sat, we came to a conclusion.
Very well.
That this was the operational...
if that is the case, why did you now instruct and decide as a commission that since the case of Senator Martin involved the office of the Permanent Secretary, yes, or thereabout, that communications should now be directly through your office?
Yes, because for that one, we thought the ministry was a party.
Yes.
And as a party, if they want to communicate that decision, you see, the other party may think that they have influence on the decision.
Right.
So that is why, for this one, we told him, no, this one we are going to send it since your office is a party to it. But it would not be prudent for you to convey such a decision to the council.
But Chairman, yes, are you now not cherry picking? You decide to follow the instructions of the Permanent Secretary when it suits you and it is convenient and there's no problem. And now you know fully well for a fact that in this instance you don't want to follow the instructions by the Permanent Secretary to make sure all communications are passed through his office.
No, I disagree.
You have to have a particular mode of operation.
We have particular mode of operation, but where there are conflict of interest, yes, it should be taken into consideration. And in this particular issue, there was a conflict of interest.
Did they raise that?
And as the commission raised that.
No, did the applicant raise that there was a conflict of interest?
Yeah, because the commission, the KMC was saying that the ministry is trying to usurp the powers of the commission.
Did you
those are allegations.
Did you have the ministry respond to that allegation?
You see, I can't remember that.
Exactly, there was none.
Yes. Yeah, but the issue is that was being said. They were questioning it. And there was conflict. And when you have conflict of interest, you have to find a way of addressing it. And that is why for that letter, we insisted that we have to write it. And we prevailed over the Permanent Secretary on that issue. And that was one of them.
Because that is the right thing to do.
It is not the issue of we decide what to do, when to go with the normal practice or not. But where, in any situation, when you have conflict of interest, you have to find a solution to that.
No, because that is the right thing to do. Because you have said, when my lead counsel was leading you, you have accepted that it is not only sufficient to know that in your decision making you are independent, but the mere fact that someone is paying your bills, someone is funding you, someone is making sure that your survival depends on them, yes, there can be a perception of not being biased.
Yes.
And so therefore it is prudent enough to be independent.
Yes. And for being independent, you engage the stakeholders. We don't exchange blows, we don't fight. You have to engage. So it's that engagement process that we are doing. At the end of the day, we hope we will prevail.
No, but you haven't done that. You haven't written to them.
We've engaged the Permanent Secretary on the issue.
No. You see, it will be convenient. This is a formal. You work for a professional institution.
Yes.
And the mode of communication has to be formal.
Yes.
And therefore, you don't sit here and tell us that you have engaged them. The Permanent Secretary is not here to either corroborate or deny what you are saying. You can't tell us that verbally. We deal with evidence. You don't have it, and you have accepted you don't have those correspondences. So we just move on.
I have the correspondence where the Permanent Secretary said the communications should go through his office to the commission. I have that
Now let's move to the issue of.
Sorry, can he avail us that communication, please?
Yes. Can you avail us that communication? In fact, what he's referring to is totally different from what we are saying. We've already addressed that. He is saying that in their letter of appointment, they have been informed by the permanent secretary to make sure all communications are channeled through his office. You can avail us.
Yeah, and the justifications for that are also indicated in that letter.
You can now avail us a copy of that letter.
Good.
But what is also established is that you never wrote to the permanent secretary, either you in your capacity as chairperson or your office, to actually exhibit your disagreement with that position. Yes. Very well. We also touched on the issue of the Senator Martins. What can you tell us about the Senator Martins incident?
The Senator Martin issue came to the commission and because we received a letter from the establishment committee of KMC.
Yes.
Through the deputy CEO. This was sent on the 12th December 2022. You see, and I think that letter was sent even direct to the commission. So when we received the letter, then we sat over it. But what we observed was that KMC wrote 12 December for the interdiction of Senabu Martin Sonko to the commission, when in actual fact Senabu Martin Sonko was interdicted since 2021, more than 1 year.
Yes.
So we saw an anomaly.
Right.
You see, and then we are trying to rectify that anomaly. And then, because the issue is even at the courts, and then we said the subsequent decisions of the commission shall be determined by the outcome of the court.
Very well.
Yes.
But for the Senator Martin's case,
yes,
we want to understand the role you played as the commission in addressing that issue.
Okay.
So we will start with the correspondences that you wrote to the deputy CEO, that's Kajali, one Mr. Kajali. Is
Yes.
that correct?
Yes.
And when you wrote to Mr. Kajali in relation to making sure that he hand over to Senator Martins, what happened?
Yeah, because when we wrote conveying the decisions of the commission, then they resisted.
When you say they, who are you
council,
referring to?
the council.
Very well.
Yes. Then after, I think a follow-up letter was also written by the ministry, because we engaged them on that issue, that these people are yet to take over. And then a follow-up letter was written, a warning letter was written for them for Kajali and others.
Yes.
You see, to hand over. And after they wrote, then Kajali in his letter was trying to personalize our letter, because Kajali wrote conveying the recommendations of the establishment committee. And in our response, we also addressed the letter to him with the expectations that he will equally convey that decision to the establishment committee than to council. But instead, he wrote to us telling us that the letter should be addressed to the office of the mayor, since the reporting line for the CEO is he reports to the mayor but answerable to council, that we should write to the mayor, not to him. Then we wrote back,
proceed,
indicating that the office of the CEO is the administrative arm of the council. All correspondence going and coming are addressed to the office of the CEO. It was on that basis that we wrote, because he wrote on behalf of the establishment committee. That was normal. But when we respond through him, it's not normal. That was the funny thing about it. And we explained to him that the issues are not addressed to you personally. These are issues of council. You see?
Now, just for the commissioners to understand,
yes,
you wrote to the deputy CEO,
yes,
for him to hand over to the then CEO, that is Senator Martin Sonko.
yes.
And he wrote back to you, which I will read subsequently, informing you, the commission,
yes,
that he cannot adhere to your instructions,
yes,
because otherwise he would be in contempt of the council, because he's been instructed by council.
Okay, that was
now,
the other letter after that. After
yes,
the letter I mentioned.
yes. Basically, this is summary,
yes,
and there was a standoff between your office,
yes,
and Kajali.
yes,
At some point, you had to invite him over for him to explain why
yes,
he did not hand over to Senator Martin.
yes.
Is that a fair summary? Basically, just a summary.
Yeah, because when he responded to that second
Yes.
letter, then after we decided to invite him,
No.
and when we invited him to the commission, we asked him whether he knows the role and responsibilities of the commission. He said yes, and he spelled out all the functions. We asked him who is responsible of staff discipline. He said it's the commission. It's not that he's not aware, he is aware that it is the commission. We asked him whether it is the responsibility of council to discipline the staff at that category. He said no. So we told him then the resolution that was taken was subject to approval or otherwise by the commission. So KMC acted outside their mandate, and that is what we were rectifying. When it comes to issue of discipline, it is the commission, not KMC.
So you were in effect explaining to Kajali, probably you think that he didn't understand the operation, so therefore you are explaining to him.
That's what we thought.
Exactly.
But
And
after we understand that he knows it.
Yes,
But
so
he equally defended his position with the same agreement.
yes, my point is,
Yes.
when you invited Kajali, after a series of correspondence,
Yes.
the deputy CEO that you appointed,
Yes.
you invited him to your office and tried to explain to him
Yes.
which authority has the power to discipline and to transfer and to appoint.
Yes.
You understand? With the mindset that he may not have understood his functions. Is that not correct?
Yes.
Now, and that is where the problem is. Don't you think you were doing what you were supposed to do as a commission? Probably that led to this escalation of the problem. But because if you had done your function well, you will have reached this position.
The issue was escalated before our coming into office.
I know that.
Yes, the issue escalated.
The issue started before your coming into the office.
It escalated even before we were in office.
Let me agree with that. Now let me read his response. He said, I write to acknowledge receipt of your letter dated the 2nd February 2023, which is for him to hand over to Senator Martins.
Yes.
And may I respectfully bring to your attention that the decision to send Mr. Senator Martin Sonko and co on administrative leave was a resolution passed by General Council. You and I discussed who should pass disciplinary issues at Council.
Yes.
And you have said it is the establishment committee. Is that not correct?
Who should?
Who should recommend for disciplinary matters at Council level?
Yes.
You said it's the establishment committee. Is that not correct?
Yes.
Now, it is gratifying to note that as Deputy Chief Executive Officer, I did not have any power, authority, or mandate to restrain Madam Senabu Martin Sonko and co from resuming their duties. Since the CEO's reporting line is to the office of the Lord Mayor and also the CEO is under the directives, control, and guardians of the Council, it is very fitting, I believe, to address your letter to the office of the Lord Mayor regarding the immediate resumption of Madam Senabu Sonko and co for duties.
Yes.
Now, this was one of Kajali's first letters in relation to defying your instruction.
Yes. Then I explain.
Who appoints CEOs?
The Service Commission.
Who has the power to transfer CEOs?
The Service Commission.
Who has the power to discipline CEOs?
The Service Commission.
Now, why did you not take any step that will put a stop to this issue at that point?
Yeah, we were trying to exhaust all the administrative procedures.
You don't have administrative procedures.
Of course,
you don't have.
That was our decision at the commission, because we don't want to take the last resort. We want to go through the stages of disciplinary measures up to the end. We don't want to jump and go to the end, to the extreme. That's why we said let's exhaust all the administrative procedures. Then after any decision we take, nobody can challenge that decision. That was our stand, because the issue is hot. So we have to follow. Otherwise, we may be going to have done this or that.
Honorable Chairperson.
That was why we engaged.
Honorable Chairperson.
Yes.
There was no hot issue. There was a normal administrative matter that was supposed to be dealt with. You don't have to make decisions with the mindset that there are hot issues in the country or so. That's not why someone is appointed in a very sensitive position like yours.
If a decision is already taken.
No, it doesn't. By who?
By the commission.
By?
By the commission.
By the commission?
Yes.
And what was the decision?
That he is demoted.
He is?
Demoted.
And when was that?
That was last week.
But as at the time of this letter, there was no decision.
Yes.
What informed your latest?
Then what delayed the decision?
Let us just listen to each other.
Okay.
What informed your decision last week?
Yes.
That which led to your office demoting Kajali?
Because of the irregularities or the illegality of the commission rules.
Were you aware
that we were relying on? We are delaying us. Then after we made consultations, then we were advised that we can use that of the PSC. When we got that advice, then we decided to use the PSC regulations to sanction disciplinary measures on Kajali.
That was good. I hope it was done. I hope it was done earlier. You were aware that a commission of inquiry of this sort was set up by the president.
Yes.
And you never acted prior to the setting of the commission of inquiry. You never made that decision prior to the setting of this commission of inquiry.
No, we did. We did.
No,
engage, we did engage.
No, you see.
When we noticed, can I explain?
Let me learn first.
Okay,
when I ask you a question, just be fair to me and answer the question. If I'm wrong, tell me you're wrong.
Yeah.
If I'm correct, tell me you're correct. But answer the question, then make any comment.
Okay.
You said you made a decision last week.
Yes.
And demoted Kajali, the then deputy CEO of KMC.
Yes, and redeploy him.
And that was last week.
Yes.
Do you have a copy of that letter?
No.
Make sure, please, you provide a copy of the letter.
Yes.
My point is,
yes,
as at the time you were taking the decision, this commission of inquiry was already set up by the president, and it was, in fact,
yes,
it has started operations.
yes,
Is that not correct?
yes.
So don't you think your action, number one, undermines the work of the commission, number one? Number two, you were trying to cover up your inactions, because you could have acted in the same manner last week when this problem started. You failed to do that.
I disagree.
Tell me why you disagree.
Yeah. One, the delay for the decision, because I can't remember the exact dates when we invited Kajali. I can't remember the dates, you see. And when we wrote the final letter to him, then we met to take a disciplinary measure. When we met on that day, we all knew that the local government service commission regulations have some issues.
Yes.
And that's where the disciplinary actions to be taken are instated.
Yes.
So we said if we take any decision based on this, and we are now doubting the legality of this document,
fair enough,
then whatever decision we have taken can be challenged.
But
when it is challenged,
you are not being fair here. You said you have listed the rules or laws or regulations that you follow in the administration of your duties. When my lead counsel examined you,
I said
and
what?
You have made reference.
Yes.
For example, you have said even though that 2010 regulation is probably not legal, but then you follow the regulations set out by the PSC. Did you not say that?
Yeah, that's recent.
Exactly.
That is recent.
Why did you not follow the disciplinary outline at the PSC regulations?
That's what I'm saying. Then we didn't have the legal advice. When we wanted to take the decision, we have to resort to a legal advice. And we were given the legal advice that we can use the generals, that is that of the PSC, you see, to take decisions.
No, but
when we were given that advice, that was the time we take that decision, but that was delaying that decision.
No, in fact, see, let me repeat myself. Now, when the commission was set up,
yes,
and it has started operations,
yes,
hearing matters in relation to these cases, why did you not wait for the outcome before you jump into conclusion of a matter that has already been supposed to be dealt with?
Yeah, but this was matter in hand.
Oh, so we have a concurrent jurisdiction. That's what you're saying?
But we are not in any way
Is that what you are saying?
We are not in any way undermining the authority of the commission.
Possibly yes, but possibly no. But then you are covering up your inactions.
You see.
You failed to do what you were supposed to do. And now let me read you your letter with folio.
With due respect, we've done what we are supposed to do. We are limited. We have constraints in the legal documents that we are to use. Where we are constrained, we have to resort to an advice. And we've got that legal advice, and we acted. When we got that legal advice, we could not have acted.
Who gave you the legal advice?
You see? Who?
Who gave you the legal advice?
From a legal practitioner.
Which legal practitioner?
At the ministry.
At the ministry. Did you write to the ministry formally to request for advice?
No. This was engagement. That
engagement.
This is our problem, because what we did even.
With all due respect,
okay,
let us keep the conversation,
yes,
based on the issues. If I ask you questions, just answer them, and then you make your comment. Did your office, or you as a chairperson, write officially to the Ministry of Justice seeking for legal advice in this matter?
No.
Now, did you, in your individual capacity, seek for random legal advice as to what should be done?
We've asked the commission.
You did it in group. You all went to the Ministry of Justice?
Two of us.
Two of you. Yes. Is that binding to the commission?
This we are seeking advice.
Is that binding to the commission?
Of course, it should be.
It should be.
Yes.
You see, when was the legal advice sought?
This was, I think, 2 weeks back.
2 weeks back.
Something like that.
See, you and I know, and we've already agreed, that you haven't officially sought any legal advice. Is that not correct? Officially?
I wouldn't say officially, because the advice we sought
is it just difficult? Is it difficult to say?
It's a staff of the ministry.
Honorable Chairperson.
Yes.
Is it difficult to admit when the answer is supposed to be yes? You know there was no written. Let me use the plain, simplest language. Okay. You and I will agree that you haven't written as a commission seeking for legal advice at the office of the Attorney General.
I said yes.
Must I be using this kind of language before you agree?
But I said yes.
But you didn't say yes earlier.
No, when you said whether we have written officially, I said no, but we've made engagement with somebody with legal background, and this were the advice we were given.
Now, let me read you your letter dated the 8th February 2023,
yes,
which you addressed to the Deputy Chief Executive Officer. You said, I invite reference to your letter, and you cited the reference. The Local Government Service Commission, at its meeting of 8th February 2023, have noted with great concern. So, as at the time of February, you have had a great concern with respect to this matter. Is that correct?
Yes.
Good. So, which means that there was no issue of a minor concern at the time. You said, it is important to point out that the Office of the Chief Executive Officer is the administrative arm wing of Council, and therefore all correspondences should be channeled through the Office of the CEO, as opposed to your assertion for the Commission to write to the Lord Mayor. The Commission's response is based on your letter conveying the recommendation of the Establishment Committee. Therefore, you should have equally transmitted the Commission's response to that committee. Furthermore, it is important to note that KMC has already taken the decision to indefinitely suspend Senator Martin Sonko and Co. based on Council Resolution of 26 July 2021 without the approval of Commission. Before I proceed, you in this letter have acknowledged the fact that these actions, an area council going further to usurp your powers and sanction indefinitely your staff, or someone that you should have control over was in fact a grave violation. Exactly. So at the time of your letter, you have had a serious issue of concern to deal with, and this was in February.
Yes.
And you never dealt with it in the manner you did last week. And so, you said equally important is the fact that you failed to address the contents, substance of the Commission's letter, rather your response to the Commission's letter of 2nd February, only dilated on procedural matters. On the basis of the above, you are ought to take the necessary administrative measures, procedures, and convey the Commission's decision as contained on its letter of 2nd February. Based on the decision of the Commission as the competent authority mandated to deal with the staff matters, it is hereby resolved that Senator and Co are to resume work immediate effect. Yeah, but you know what is interesting?
Yes.
After this letter, you even issued a final warning letter. Do you recall that?
Yes. That
What?
was after our engagement. Because when we wrote, they also respond.
Of course.
Because when this letter was sent, it was meant to be sent to the general body.
Yes.
And then the general body sat over it, you see, and then come up with their decision, and that decision was conveyed, you see, to the ministry, to the commission, to the ministry again. So that was the time. Based on that response, we decided to invite Kajali himself, you see, and engage him on this issue, gave him a final warning.
Now, when you gave him the final warning, did he adhere to the final warning?
No.
And what did you do after that?
Now we've taken the decision.
And when did you take the decision?
Last week.
Last week.
Yes.
And you think you have done the right thing?
Yes.
How many months has elapsed?
I told you we were exhausting
How many months?
Administrative procedures.
How many months elapsed?
That's February, March, April, May.
June.
In the third one, no, May.
May.
Yeah.
3 months. Then you took action in a sensitive matter like this, which you've already flagged for a long time, that it is in fact a very important or a grave concern to deal with.
Yeah, because it was very important, very sensitive. We have to take our time. We don't want to rush it and get it wrong. You see, we are with the conviction that we have followed due diligence on this case to the end. And this is our stand. As a commission, whatever we are to do, we have to do it right. We don't have to rush on issues. We have to exhaust all the administrative procedures and then come up with the decision. And that is, in our opinion, that is our stand. That is the stand of the commission, Local Government Service Commission.
When you
many interpretation, but for us,
when you resolved to that Senator Martin and Co to resume work with immediate effect,
yes.
What prompted your decision? What informed you of your decision?
Because of the Senabu was sent on indefinite leave more than 1 year before the establishment committee writes to the commission.
What were the allegations against Senabu?
That initially I thought they said 12
was a fraud
million,
of 12 million?
12 million fraud.
Did you ever sit on that issue?
No, we did not discuss it in totality, but what we've realized is Senabu did not embezzle 12 million. What Senabu did is issue a loan guarantee.
How do you know that?
Issue a loan guarantee.
How did you know that she did not embezzle 12 million?
Through the correspondence of KMC.
The correspondence of KMC outlined that there was no embezzlement of 12 million?
Yes.
You are sitting here telling us that they said, was there a conclusive investigative report in relation to that to conclude that there was no 12 million?
Whether there was?
Was there a conclusive investigative report either by the police or any authority in the allegations outlined by KMC?
I think we are getting wrong signals about KMC.
What?
What KMC, the correspondence, what was said in the media and what was communicated are two different things.
No, I think you are getting it wrong.
Yes. Forget what was communicated in this media was that there was 12 million embezzlement.
Yes.
But on document, on paper, what is said there is she issued a loan guarantee of 12 million for the staff association. That is what is communicated to us. That's what we looked at.
Now, what was communicated was that there was a suspected fraudulent activity of 12 million. in the manner of loans. Don't change the facts. You know it. And wait. My question is not even that. Were you given any investigative report by any authority to absolve Senator Martin from those allegations of fraud? No. Forget the 12 million. You were not.
No, because the issue is the case was not conclusive. The case is at the court, and we were also informed that a presidential commission is being set up that can look into the issue rather than us coming up with, we thought it wise not to duplicate efforts, because if we set up a committee or a committee to investigate the whole saga, and then the commission
is it Jallo?
Yes.
Jallo, don't tell me about duplication of effort. Of efforts. You already did that. We've already gone through that line. When you were sitting over a matter, knowing fully well as a commission set up for that matter to cover your tracks. So let's forget about duplication of effort or whatsoever. Just answer the question. Were you issued with any report investigating and concluding the issue of Senator Martin with respect to the alleged fraud?
Yeah, at some point we saw a document.
Okay.
Because we...
Document from?
From the ministry.
Which says?
That was a report.
Yes.
That was done by some inspectors.
Yes.
Okay. After initially we did not have those.
And what was the conclusion of the report?
But later we saw the report.
Yes.
And we look at the report, but there were still issues.
Did the report, see, you know where I'm driving at, and you refuse to agree. You arrive at me at the destination, but we will get there.
No, carry on.
My question is not even, I'm not interested as to whether Senator Martin is liable or not. That's not my concern for now. It's about the procedure. And you know that's where we are driving at, and we will get there.
Yes.
Did you receive, in your capacity as the chairperson of the commission, any report either absolving or incriminating Senator Martins?
No, the report we saw was about the inspection report done by the ministry.
Did that report absolve or implicate Senator Martins?
It has some implications.
Some implications?
Yes.
But yet still, you said that your findings were that she did not commit the fraud.
No, maybe you are not getting me.
Now help me to get you right. Help me to get you right.
Yeah, what I said is, the issue that was said initially, what I knew about the case was, Senabu embezzled 12 million. But when I get to the commission, I saw the correspondence, I realized that it was not that she embezzled 12 million, but the issue was an administrative malpractice.
See,
where she issued a loan guarantee for the Staff Welfare Association without the approval of council.
Was that opinion shared by your commissioners?
That is wrong.
No, was that opinion shared by all your commissioners?
Yes.
All your commissioners share the same opinion?
Yes.
You are saying you have seen a correspondence and you have concluded that it is not that he embezzled 12 million, but it was an issue of financial malpractice. Administrative malpractice. In what form? Can you explain what you mean by administrative malpractice?
That he issued the guarantee.
Yes.
Normally it's the CEO who signs the guarantee.
Yes.
For councils.
Yes.
As the accounting officer of council.
Right.
You see, but in this case, we thought that he should have sought the authority of council.
Yes.
Before that was done.
And that was not done.
And that was not done.
And therefore you still hold that she is still innocent of the allegations?
No, we are not saying she's innocent. We are yet to conclude about Senabu Martin's issue.
Fraud. I told you since
if you check our letter, we indicated it. The final the next thing will be after the conclusion of the case.
Just answer a question from the chairperson and then we'll proceed.
Yes. You said you believe that Senabu Martin ought to have received instructions or approval, some form of approval from council to issue the guarantee.
Yes.
Now my question is, do you have or do you know any regulations or bylaws that have been set out to prevent the CEO from taking such an administrative act? During the course of your interactions and your back and forth writing of letters, were you able to see any of whether it's in the service scheme, whether it's in their regulations, whether it's in their bylaws, that provided that the CEO should have approval or should have authorization from the council for her to take the steps she has taken?
No, I have not seen any regulation regarding that, but going by...
So what you are telling us is your opinion, right?
Yes.
Thank you. Council, you can proceed.
Yes, my point, just maybe I should tell you where I am driving at now, since you already know, is the fact that you, in your capacity as a chairperson and your office, failed to address this matter. Now, I told you, I am not trying to discuss here whether at this point whether the loan allegations were true or not. That's not my interest as of this point. And I certainly don't expect you to say that. But the reality is, you as a commission never sat and addressed the issues of the allegations of fraud in the case of Senator Martin. And that's a fact.
Because the issue is at court.
Is that a fact?
Because the issue is at court.
No.
Yes.
When you first received the complaint, the issue of the fraud was never in court. The issue of the fraud was never in court. In fact, it's not in court as we speak. What is in court is not the issue of fraud. You know it and I know it.
What is in court?
I'm asking you. Do you have correspondences to show that the issue of the fraud-led allegation is in court? The Senate is being arranged by any court? Do you have it?
No.
Exactly. So why do you conclude on facts that you are not sure of? You have an institution to run. You have a mandate to run and to adhere to. You don't busy yourself with other matters on social media and so on and so forth. The issue is you deal with matters as they come. Is that not the case?
Yes.
Exactly. And therefore you should have dealt with all these issues as they come to your office adequately. Is that not the issue?
Yeah, that was the issue.
Is that not the case as what you are supposed to do?
Yes, but we acted in this manner because of the Commission of Inquiry.
When you sit as a commission,
yes,
is your independent opinion sufficient for a decision to be made, or are decisions made based on deliberations and a letter issued to that effect?
Well, it depends on the case.
Are you telling me sometimes you issued informal directives?
No, not informal directives.
Exactly. Now I will show you how you communicate as a commission.
Yes.
There is this letter here, folio 126, dated the 18th of April 2023, wherein you wrote to the Permanent Secretary with respect to the heading Submission of Action Points of the LGSC, Local Government Service Commission.
Yes.
And the introductory part reads, I write to convey approval for transmission of the following decisions of the Commission asked at its meeting on Monday, 17 April 2023. Is that not correct? Is this not your formal way of communicating to correspondences? When decisions are made, yes, are this not the manner in which you communicate them to?
We communicate to the Permanent Secretary for him to convey the decisions.
Exactly.
Yes.
That's my point. This is the official way that you communicate.
Yes.
And this was not done in the other instances that we were talking about.
That is
the issue of Senator Martin, the issue of the fraud allegation, that there was no decision to this effect at any given point in time. In fact, it was not even discussed at the commission level.
What was not discussed at
the issue of the fraudulent allegation?
No, it was discussed.
Now, can you provide us a letter to that effect, like the similar, which will highlight?
It was discussed, but no decision was taken.
You see,
on that.
Mr.
Because we wanted to start with the
Mr. Yalo,
with the interdiction.
Let me make it easy for you.
Then after the interdiction,
let me make it easy for you. Can you provide the commission with the minutes of your sittings discussing the issue of the allegation of fraud in relation to the Senator Martin case? Can you provide us with the meetings and the documentation there to that effect? When you sat as a commission and you discussed it?
That was our first sitting.
Can you, just to make it simple, let's assume you now have discussed this over a period of meetings. Can you make it available, those meetings?
Yes, when we discussed it, and then we were told that a presidential commission, we received a letter that a presidential commission was coming up.
Yes.
You see, then we said it's better we wait for the commission to thoroughly investigate.
Mr. Jallo, you don't, we cannot go back to that. We cannot go back to that. You are now telling me, because of this commission, you decide it is best to wait. But then, in the manner of suspending the deputy CEO, it was not the best time to wait. How do you justify your answer?
Yeah, the deputy CEO and co were sent on leave more than 1 year.
Why did you wait,
you see,
in relation to the Senator Martin, and you did not wait in relation to the deputy CEO?
Why didn't we?
The deputies, in case of Senator Martin, you are saying the commission was set up and therefore it is best to wait. You're on record.
Yes.
And now I'm saying I'm not going to buy your that position because a similar incident occurred and you decided not to wait for the commission.
No, because that one decision was already taken before the commission.
No, do you know why?
Yes.
Because you know fully well for a fact that you have to cover your tracks, your inactions. You failed to act when you were supposed to act, and that is why.
But I've explained the reason for the delay of the decision.
Yes. Again, now, when another thing that I'm interested in is when the deputy CEO refused.
Yes.
Even your final warning. I have your final warning here in April.
Yes.
Folio 124, Honorable Commissioners. It reads, final instruction to hand over to the Chief Executive Officer, Carnifing Municipal Council. Before I read the content, which you must be familiar with, what would normally prompt your office, your commission, to issue a final warning to an individual?
Yeah, because communications were made.
No, forget this matter.
Yes.
Generally, when you are dealing with a disciplinary issue,
yes,
and you had to resort to issuing a final warning, what must have advised your decision to issue a final warning in a disciplinary matter?
Yeah, in a disciplinary matter, you have to issue warning letters first.
Yes.
Second warning letter.
Right.
And then you take your action.
So am I correct to say it is a last resort position, final warning, is when someone failed to adhere to your...
Yes, yes.
Exactly.
Yes, then you give final warning.
Final warning.
Yes.
And you said this letter serves as a final notice to inform you that you should hand over all the functions and responsibilities of the Chief Executive Officer to Senator Martin Sonko within 48 hours from the receipt of these final instructions.
Yes.
This handover should not be later than Friday, 14th April 2023 by close of business. Submitted on the behalf of the Local Government Service Commission for your appropriate action. Your words were strong, and I will commend you for that. But this is in 12th April, Honorable Commissioners, 2023.
Yes.
48 hours, I don't need to say we have passed more than, I don't know, how many hours now?
Yeah, it took time before we take the final decision.
Now, see, we cannot go back in circles. Let's now focus on this final warning.
Yes.
Let's assume you have done everything right.
Yes.
You've addressed the issue.
Yes.
Now that you have issued a final warning.
Yes.
And you are saying it's usually the last resort.
Yes.
When in fact there has been gross disobedience by the deputy CEO, as far as you're concerned.
Yes.
Now you issued a final warning.
Yes.
And your words here
are
that they must be adhered to within 48 hours, if not, actions will be taken.
Yes.
Were they adhered to?
No.
What was done by your office after 48 hours?
After 48 hours, we convened.
And then?
When we convened, then we expressed the lapses in the regulations.
Yes.
You see, and then we said if we want to take a decision on this, and this can be challenged.
So if you had transferred the deputy CEO, would that still be illegal on your part?
If we have?
If you had transferred the deputy CEO,
Yes.
would that be illegal on your part?
Then we did not know that we can use that of the PSC. It could
No,
have
no.
been.
If you had transferred,
Yes.
who appointed the deputy CEO?
The commission.
Who can transfer the deputy CEO?
The commission.
Was the appointment and the transfer and the disciplinary issues affected by the regulation?
Yeah, because that's where you have the disciplinary measures to be taken.
Good, very well. Now, but then I am not good at reading, but 119 of the Local Government Service Commission, 118 or so, or thereabout,
Yes.
outlines your functions. Is that not correct? And you are very familiar with your functions. You don't need the regulation. The act was in place when this problem ensued. Is that not correct?
Yes.
And the act says that the functions and powers of the Local Government Service Commission are A, to make appointments to offices in the local government service.
Yes.
Whether the regulation is legal or not, you still have the act. Will you agree with me?
Yes, we have the act.
Paragraph B, make provisions for overall management and efficiency of the local government service. C, set up general and uniform guidelines for appointments, promotions, and discipline. Review the terms and conditions of service for persons holding offices. You've already been empowered by the act to appoint.
Yes.
Or otherwise.
Yes.
So now let us forget the regulation for a while.
But the regulations guide
I agree.
our operations.
I agree.
Yes.
But then, so you are telling me in the absence of the regulation, you can't transfer anyone?
Yeah, you can.
Is that what you're saying? Right now, yes. This regulation is not in, let's say it's not a good law. It's not in effect. Are you telling me you can't even appoint anyone now?
Now we can.
Can you transfer someone?
Yes, we can.
Why did you not transfer the deputy CEO?
At that time?
It can only be at that time.
At that time, we were just following the administrative procedures.
And what were the administrative procedures?
That was to engage him to the end.
Yes, but there was no procedure, because there was no regulation to engage him to the end.
Yeah, but along the way, we noticed that the regulations that we are using have some issues.
So, Jallo, so now this is what happened.
I think I'm trying to tell you what prompted our decision and the delay, you see, in taking that decision. The delay in taking that decision was because of the issues we have with the regulations.
No,
and we engaged the ministry.
The delay that prompted your decision,
yes,
is not executing your mandate the manner in which you are supposed to do. See, we have to be honest. The delay, I know you may have regretted that, not acting early, but the delay is as the result of the delay is what we have faced over the months, over the period. You see, when you are supposed to act and you don't act, these are the likely repercussions. You will sit, you will defend yourself, you will come up with excuses, but people don't appoint you or me or anybody else to be given excuses. That's the hard fact.
No, we agree there is delay.
Exactly.
But we are also giving you the justifications for the delay.
No, we will discuss that.
Yeah,
the justifications, we have had you.
Yeah, yes. And
we have had your justifications. We have had your queries. We have had your. Yes. We have discussed all of those. Yes. But when you were appointed, you must have been appointed based on your perceived competence.
Yes.
And experience.
Yes.
And you have worked in the system for so long.
Yes.
And you know for a fact that you have an act that guides you. Is that not correct?
Yes.
And the act empowers you to appoint.
Yes.
And transfer and address disciplinary matters.
Yes.
And therefore, you failed to act when you were supposed to act at the time. So that is the truth. It's the hard truth. You may not have caused the problem, but you have contributed to the problem. That's the hard fact.
Yeah, I know if action was taken at the right time,
yes,
the issue would not have.
Thank you very much.
Get to this level.
Thank you very much. We agree and we move on.
You see.
And that's it. You are not on an investigation or whatsoever. We agree and we move on. We just want to find out where lapses are and we correct them.
Yeah, but that I did mention.
That's it. So, Madam Chair, I'm not sure whether this is a convenient point that the commissioners will ask questions and then we can come back. Yes.
You said you saw a report.
Yes.
Can you avail us that report?
Yes, that was an inspection report.
Yes.
which I later saw.
Yes, please avail the commission the report.
Yes.
And at what point did you realize that the regulations have issue? And if so, did you seek legal advice to deal with the regulations so that it can enhance the performance of your duty?
Yes.
When did you realize that?
When we were to take this decision on Kajali, I called the attention of the commissioners that going by the regulations, the act being quoted, I was trying to find out whether we have that act, but we cannot trace that act. So we came with the conclusion that then the act doesn't exist. But in some reports, a draft was at least prepared. I don't know, even that draft that I cannot see, but I could recall reading somewhere where it was stated that the Local Government Service Act was prepared, and by then it was left to be sent to Cabinet or to the National Assembly. It was not enacted at that time. You see, then I cautioned them. You see, we have to be very careful. These are the guides that we are using. And if we use this, people can take us to the courts, or they can challenge us, and at the end of the day, the reputation of the commission will be at stake. So then we engaged the permanent secretary too, who have some legal advice, legal background, you see, and then we were advised that no, you can even use the public service regulations, you see, where even you don't have these regulations, you can use the generals. It can still be binding. Then after we wrote, but before that, we even wrote to the permanent secretary, to the honorable minister. We wrote to the honorable minister through the permanent secretary, indicating to him that these are the lapses in the regulations. The act is being quoted, and the act doesn't exist.
Can you avail us what you wrote?
Yes, then that is illegal. And we suggested to the honorable minister to use section 174(1) of the Local Government Act. That is sufficient to pass these regulations, even without the Local Government Service Act. And we quoted that section and sent it to the honorable minister so that he can revise. We can revise the regulations, and he can resubmit the regulation using section 174(1) of the Local Government Act. And
now,
given
the fact that the CEO and other staff are public servants,
yes,
did it not occur to you to have used their rules as you did at this later moment to deal with your issues?
Yeah, then we did not know that we can use that of the PSC.
Okay, thank you.
Yes.
I believe that this is a convenient point to stop. It's already 5 o'clock. We will adjourn, and we will see you tomorrow at 10 o'clock, and we will now rise. Thank you.